are live. Anybody filing in? Let me know how you can hear. You can see the screen all right. See a few people piling in. Just let me know if you can hear and see me okay on that screen. There's the questions panel on the side there. Chime in. All right. Thanks, Bob. Appreciate that. So it's a live Q&A here for Trade Idea Scanners. I don't really come with any predetermined content. However, I'm going to start with a market recap unless anybody has questions right off the bat. So, feel free to interrupt me at any point. Alrighty, so let's get rolling here a little bit and take a look at some different charts that matter to the overall market. So let's start with the SPY. And we see some damage done over the last week or so here, 10 days. But we're really just not sitting that far off all-time highs. So, bears and bulls are going to yell. We just want to play something that's in between them. That's all that matters. The noisiest people are usually the ones to listen to the least. So, this is going back to just before the beginning of the year, right there in December. And we can see, as I always go over, I like that 20-day period low. That's what I use on my chart here. And that's a nice set of steps looking to take those steps up. And it's been a long time since we took a step down. So, something perfectly normal, perfectly healthy as far as the market goes. And the market kind of trying to figure itself out right now here in this section. One thing I do like to note is that SPY is very tech heavy, and tech has been getting its butt kicked lately. Your Googles, your Apples, Amazon, Facebook, uh, all of them more or less stuck in the mud. So if take a look here at some of these other charts that are kind of bellwethers for what's going on, we're going to see kind of that same theme over and over again. Google, same kind of theme. That is not Amazon. That's Amazon, or it will be. And so same kind of thing. Amazon may be a little separate as they have a bit of a different business model all than the rest, but you can find a lot of things that either range bound or towards the lower end of some of these ranges, with the exception of Amazon that is right here. So in Facebook, with whatever happened yesterday, was it a hack? Wasn't a hack? Was it a hack? Was it what? Not a hack? Either way, it was down. Definitely affected their price. Popping right back up here today on a gap and go. So, but the same kind of theme, if we were to look at that SPY chart, all these big tech heavy stocks doing the exact same things. So a different way we can look at that is, let's see here, more evenly weighted RSP. Sorry, grabbed a hold of that. Let's widen this back out like that. And we can see not quite the same amount of damage here, but this is your S&P 500, only evenly weighted instead of weighted heavier in tech. And so we can see that's recovering a little bit nice over the last couple of days here. Still under pressure from some of these moving averages. It is below its 50-day, ran right into the 20 and got beat up there, but it's trying to recapture this kind of quick momentum one. It's hard to see. Let's zoom in a little bit. 8 EMA right there. So, step one to the recovery of that, march back up towards all-time highs. We'll be recapturing this. Then you fight with the 20-day, and we'll fight with the 50-day. And so that's how we're doing it right there. So pause. Yes, interesting day for the AI today. As I've been hammering home energy, she went into some energy. They started off looking healthy, and then they fell apart, like a lot of energy plays today. Anybody that was with me yesterday discussed that I had a position on that I was taking home overnight, and MGY. And we can see what this did today. Nice bottoming tail. I do like the price action of this. I did sell back here, but I'm looking to maybe pick it back up here in the next few minutes here. I like this red bar ignore that's going on there. I like the way we came down, nearly tagged that 8 EMA, held it, bounced right back up. That's showing me strength. And a big part of the sell-off that happened was while natural gas was still doing its thing, leading the charge. We look at an intraday chart of it here on the 15, the 5, either one. And we had the gap. We held that gap. We stayed range bound. We broke the range. We're in a higher range now. That's right here as we close the day down in the last inside the last half hour. So, at what point does nat gas turn around and pull back maybe to the mean? I don't know. You don't know. No one knows. But what I know is for sure it is a super strong sector. And the demand for this is going to go up as heating season rolls in. What's the long-term picture? I don't know, but the short-term picture, it looks like it wants higher, according to the charts. Mike C, thank you for joining. Always a pleasure to have you in here. And so, that's as far as that part of the market recap goes. Zoom back out and get another bigger picture. Zooming in, zooming out makes things look more or less extended. Here it looks more extended, but as the saying goes, markets stay rational longer than you can stay solvent, or me or anybody else. So take a look here at the QQQs. Again, very tech heavy. So we're going to see a lot of damage that's done here, like I said, as the big boys aren't playing ball right now. But, something that's noteworthy, I drew this line quite a long time ago here. All right. And we banged on it. We bounced off of it. So I do believe this was something that we went over in another session late last week, where I mentioned below this line, we're coming down to test the 200-day. We hold above this line. We're coming back to test all-time highs. And that's kind of, I think, where the line in the sand is for now. And we could see from the intraday chart yesterday, banged on it all day long. The sellers could not get through that line. Obviously, it matters. Gap, go all day long on that today. So again, it's in a bit of a no man's land. And for all we know, we chop sideways for a long time. Perhaps we chop sideways into the rest of the year as, a lot of uncertainty lays into the market, the world, and so on and so forth. Earnings season could certainly be a catalyst, especially Apple, Facebook, Google, all those start to present earnings. What those do, what they say they're going to do, so on and so forth, going to have a big say and impact on what's going on there. It'd be remiss if we didn't cover the diamonds. Dow Jones Industrial tracks that. And not quite as much of a sell-off here. A little more orderly on this bow down. Not quite as tech heavy as the rest here. Same kind of idea, looking at these position and 20-day lows. Just kind of step ups the whole way for a long time. So we had that one step down, and I'd say it's a pretty good step up ratio. You could also say, while we're sitting near all-time highs, we've been more or less range bound for a very, very long time, going back to earlier in the year, just before mid-year even. We could extend that line even there as far as this goes. So that seems to be a significant line. We came down, bounced it here. We've held it so far. And so again, I think that's kind of your line in the sand. Below there, we're bearish. Above here, we're bullish. And that's kind of the way that I am currently seeing it on the charts. I'm not sure what everybody else is seeing, but that's what makes everybody an individual. Why you have a plan, why you trade that plan. So again, if anybody has any questions, please chime in those questions. Here to demonstrate anything with the scanners that we have a question about, what we can, what we can't do. I prefer to tell you the things we can do. Um, a lot of outside the box thinking sometimes has to go on with these things too. So, a hammer always home. And people ask for certain kinds of patterns, anything like that. We don't have a bull flag pattern per se, but Andy Lindelof was able to create a great bull flag scanner on the daily using range, position, and range, and a few other filters that he put in there to try to keep the quality names coming in and keep the trashy names out. And that was done, no real pattern recognition, just using what we have at our access. So, yes, we are live here. This is live. And again, like I said, it's open forum. Probably going to start my days with a bit of a market recap like we're doing as people pile in, hopefully come up with some questions that they want to see. And then from there, we will go with some maybe Holly recaps, some of the winners, some of the losers, some of the spread we could have between risk on, risk off, second mouse gets the cheese type of things. Most of us here, myself included, are a big proponent of man and machine, not just turning Holly on in an automated account and letting her run away with anything. I think she is best, especially because she's not designed for any specific trader the way her algorithms work. They're not designed around your trading plan. They're not designed around my trading plan. They're designed around different ATRs and breaking out and things of that nature. And so that combination man and machine is what I think you'll always find that works best. So, I like to start usually with the winners, but the last couple days I start with the losers just to give both the attention that they deserve and that nothing is perfect or nothing works perfect. And so let's look at a couple of the stop outs here. So we had Hal here, which is Halliburton. And again, going back to energy being a big theme right now and a big deal. So let's take a look at what happened in Halliburton here. And like most of the energy stocks today, and in this list that I curate here myself for alerts, is very, very heavy in energy. And if we go through this list and the Holly energy plays, you're going to see the same thing over and over again. It was mostly holding strong on a lot of gap ups today and moving up before a sell off came in. The funny thing about the sell off here is if we were to click back and look at natural gas, we don't see a big sell off in natural gas here. So as that chart comes up, you're going to see that my drawings aren't exactly lining up. All right. So drawings don't line up here actually as far as natural gas goes. We come back and look at USO, but same kind of thing. There wasn't a massive sell off in USO or OIL. A little less liquid on that OIL. Where we might find a bit more of a sell off is the XOP. Take a look at that there. I haven't looked at it today, so perhaps that's where the sneaky sell-off came from. And what do you know? Right there it is. First time looking at it, but I knew it had to come from somewhere, as these things are always related without some kind of news making them. So same kind of theme today, and I bet that fits right with what Halliburton did. And look at that. No happy accident there. All right, so that's why we look at everything. This is why we do a market recap. All right, so hopefully this is all kind of clicking and making sense for us. And how this affected Holly overall. Unfortunately, she came down and got stopped out, but not before she was in the money a bit here. All right, she makes that entrance here at 2360. All right, and she tops out. Where were we? 2378. So not a ton of spread to have in there, but certainly a little bit of alpha. And it wasn't a rapid sell off. You had a little bit of time here to have gotten out had you decided to take that trade with her. And a few pennies is a few pennies at the end of the day. Take one more look at ZIM, stopped out there. And shipping, the same kind of thing. I've been, very noteworthy of the shippers, but how does this all play out with these big global supply demands not being met, ships stuck out to sea, they can't get to port, so on and so forth. Price of shipping is skyrocketing. Well, how does this all play? Well, right now it looks like it plays as a sell off into the shippers here. There's a lot of shippers we can look at, and some had a bounce today, some did not have a bounce today. So again, Holly doesn't know this. Holly doesn't know the news. She doesn't know what's going on. She just knows what the algorithms tell her to find. Algorithm said this stock meets its criteria, and so we're alerting on that. Meanwhile, you and I can both take a look and know what's going on in the world, and where we can add our 2 cents in that Holly cannot currently add her 2 cents in. So how that works. Again, ZIM made a move into the money here, a little shorter lived actually though. So this might have been a tougher one. Looks better on the 5 minute chart, obviously, than on the 15-minute chart. Wicked out here and just kind of gave it up all day long before we banged into the stop down here, unfortunately. So that's the bad. That's the ugly. We take a look at the good here. AVPT. And we can see here that Holly's leaving on timed exits right here. Timed exit, timed exit, timed exit. All right. So we get some live shots here of what Holly is currently doing. So again, AVPT, I got an arrow here indicating where this came in. It was a post that I made a few hours ago, noting it on Twitter, and 807. And you had a bit of a time here on a 5 minute chart. It shows it a little better, but you had a bit of a range here for a couple of minutes here, a few 5 minute bars before it starts to take off, and nice healthy liftoff here. And she kind of just held it the rest of the day that's here. We can see on a daily chart, we're about running into yesterday's support, or excuse me, yesterday's resistance. All right. But as the market closes out, we are closing near the high of the day. So it's definitely something to note, and perhaps it's something you want to mark up for the next day. Um, Now, it doesn't appear to have any news or anything fancy going on with it other than the metrics of that scan that it came through, which was Mighty Mouse. Looking at those smaller price stocks, those metrics were met by this. We can see here, not overly liquid, 800,000 shares. It's liquid, but nothing crazy. And it's doing just a hair under here towards the close of what its average 10-day was. So no real catalyst to it other than meeting what the scan was looking for. And so we could always put an alert here, maybe breaks out at 8:40 tomorrow. And we've got some room moving towards 9 as the next big resistance level that I would see. Doesn't mean it gets there, but it's certainly something to keep an eye on for sure. Twitter jumping in on the fray here today. So nice gap and go with that. And while it was a little bit whippy that through here, you certainly had time to get a decent entrance once again here when we get range bound, before we take back off. We come back down, touch the entrance, and back up again. So Twitter, I'm sure having a little bit of its say because of what happened with Facebook yesterday, and does that drive people over to Twitter, and so on and so forth. So it took a hair up on its average volume over the 10 days. Still, very, very liquid stock, 9.3 million traded today. And again, we take a look on the daily chart here. Let's zoom in a little bit and see what kind of resistances we might be running in. And just like the rest of tech that we see, Twitter has been a victim to it. This crest here, we've sold off, continued to sell off. Have we found a bottom? Well, we got a front row seat for the next couple of days to see what happens with that there. So that's some of the good, the bad, and the ugly with Holly. Again, if anybody has questions, fire away. Open content, live Q&A here. I fill the dead air the best that I can. Try to keep it interesting. Try to keep it moving for everybody. So take a pause here while I pour some tea for myself and sip some late afternoon tea. All right, no questions coming in yet. I'd mentioned MGY. We're back to where my entrance was from a couple of days ago here. I'd entered at 1892. And again, still looking at this. Things that I like here. We're sitting at a lifetime high. It's right here on the open basically. Came down, touched that moving average. And like I said, Nat Gas, very strong, very bullish. So just keeping an eye here. I think I will not take any risk home tonight, but I did like this red bar ignore that's going on there as we continue to move up in price action on that there. So it'll continue to stay on my liked list. As we can see, the heart is filled in right there, saying that I have put that on my short list here. Display those stocks like this on this topless window. So basically this topless window just returns every 30 seconds what the price is for the stocks that I'm looking at and the other data points. So change from open, change from close, percent, and dollars on all these here. Volume we've done today, and a position in range. Still kind of quiet on the questions box there. Take a look here at some other things that were going on my screen today. I like Barry's option scanner. I've done a little more day trading with it recently. I haven't used it. Let me rephrase that. I've done a little more day trading over the last 6 months than I have any other time recently, mostly with this, and it's been during earning season. Since we passed last earning seasons, this has been kind of quiet for my action. Not to say that the window has been quiet itself. I know that GETA, DTX were nothing to write home to mom about. I believe there's a quick pop here, BMRA. So one of those ones for those that like those fast movers. You had a quick entrance here, you had a quick move up, and needed to get out kind of quickly in order to take those cookies when they were on the table there. So for those that like that kind of trading, that was what was there today. I hadn't taken a look at BTBT, but I believe that was a pretty liquid stock today. Yeah, there we go. So doing almost 10 times its normal volume over 10-day average, 67.5 million shares traded a day. So very, very liquid. This kind of beautiful pattern. I always like to see this with the 8 EMA and the 20 SMA. You can see how the 8 EMA kind of closed in here on that 20 SMA and then exploded right back out of it again. We could see it defined differently a little bit here on the 5-minute chart. So we had the cross down on this pullback here. So the 8 EMA crossed down on the 20 SMA and was able to recover, cross back up. And again, nice price move back up on that. So late day entrance here, 996. We're sitting at 1030. Take a look at the time and sales on this as well. So we can see it's not, not whipping around too bad. Nice spread that's on there. So while it is a liquid stock and moving at a decent speed, not something that's unreasonable to try to be trading and getting into today. So move that time and sales back out of the way. And it's a question. So what's the most number of docs you created so far without any issue? I have 5 docs right now. And that doesn't include my brokerage plus tab either. So I have these 3 that you see here. And what you see is what I run every day. This is one screen. On another screen, I have my compare count windows in a doc. And then I keep this in a doc over here. I flop this back and forth between a SPY chart and RSP chart for tracking the overall market. I keep my price alerts that are in here, single stock window that goes with the SPY here, and the TI strength alerts in this here. So that's what I have. I have a Dell that I bought in August of 2017. I am sure it was sitting in a box long before I bought it, so there's nothing special whatsoever about this computer. I don't really run into any performance issues. I'm running software to stream to you guys right now. I'm running Slack. I'm running some other support programs in the background as far as, answering tickets and chats and things like that for anybody that ever catches me in the live chats during the day. So, with all those things running, I don't really have any issues almost ever. I will say that, my top list windows, they're limited and I don't have high count numbers on those. Someone that's wondering what that means. So if you right click a top list window, you come to time frame and you go to set record count, this tells you how many stocks maximum can come through at once. I have the my like set at 150. I can really cut that down, I'm sure. Um, and one of the things this will affect, even if let's say a top list only had 50 stocks coming through it, but you had this set to the max of 1,000, the top list is going to be searching for 1,000 stocks to try to return to, regardless that there isn't. And you had, let's say, 5 top lists that had 1,000 on it, you're going to run into performance issues, is my guess. And not just to do with your machine, but that amount of data that's having to go back and forth between us and you. So while we do actually most of the lifting on our side, it's going to impact you in a negative way. So that kind of covers that. Any questions, again, fire away. It's kind of open forum here. I don't come with any content. The idea is to, learn and grow here on this Q&A together. And we can see that BTBT off that alert. A nice closing alert on the day here. And again, very orderly. It's not something that's whipping around or a difficult trade. And very nice closing pattern here for that. So again, might be something you want to mark up. Obviously, we're running into a significant level there. It's a terrible line that I just drew. Let's do it like this. Let's put a line right here, and it's going to go across to all my charts when I do this. We're going to mark up, horizontal line, move that right around the high of the day here, and we can see drew right across all my charts here. So very nice way to do this. Draw your own support and pivot lines. And we can see that, climbing the ladder here, you can make an argument for around 1150 as the next resistance level. You could also make an argument for around 13 as the next resistance level. So it kind of depends on what you feel is going to be the resistance level, with certainly a little room to run again tomorrow. I don't imagine something that's doing 10 times its average volume over 10 days is going to just run out of liquidity tomorrow. Here we are at 69 million shares, and I suspect we'll be over 70 million by the time the market itself closes. So definitely something to keep an eye on coming out of Barry's unusually strong option scanner for tomorrow. All right, Dan, what do we got here for a question? Is there a way to get a dynamic chart so that, for example, it always starts beginning with trading day and expands as the day goes on? I'm not sure what you mean. Um, I think what you mean is that if I were to have the chart looking like this, that it would stay on the current day, is what you're saying, Dan, so that when the next bar forms, we don't lose this bar here at the beginning of the day. Is that what you're going with? And if so, no, sorry. There's a lot of chart stuff that's coming out. I don't know exactly what the dev team has got working on the charts. I know that there's going to be some stuff coming over the next several months. But currently, the only way to do that would be, giving that zoom in and out, holding the control key. Yeah, no, Dan, I'm sorry. You just kind of have to, kind of follow along. Um, Never really thought about that because I like to look into the previous days for any short-term resistance. So I give a lot of zoom out. I start my day actually like this a lot, and as the day goes on, I actually shrink it down. So just kind of a personal preference. But no, I know exactly what you're saying. Unfortunately, not the case for us on that one, Dan. So again, no predetermined content. Take a look here at my liked symbols. A lot of green. We can move down, and a bit of red there. So, every one of these is on this list for a reason. Some I've traded a bunch. Some I have some either longer term or shorter term perspective on them that are keeping me interested in them. I try to update this every few days to keep that data narrowed down. I like a narrow set of data. I get too much data. I can't make decisions myself. It's just not the way I trade. I don't do well like that. So I always refer back to what Barry is able to do. It's just absolute magic to me. But if you look here on the list, today's a little more scattered, but you've got energy, 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 alternative energy. All right. And then we can look here. I don't know what apron story is, but food distribution. I'm not sure. That's medical or bio, shipper, entertainment, medical, entertainment. I'm sorry, this isn't entertainment here. That's energy too. Medical bio. So kind of a mixed bag today compared to the last few days where everything here was filtering to the top was almost all energy. So we see a little break from the energy that's going on that's been happening over the last couple of weeks. Again, if there is no questions, I'll dive maybe into a few sectors here. Let's start. We've been over UNG. I don't think we need to cover that anymore. LIT, it's poking its head in and out, in and out. Zoom in a little bit here. It's going to be your lithium ion plays. Very EV related, and we can see that this is kind of a significant level here in a position 20-day range. The low of that we held here. We had a nice couple days bounce, came right back down. It's tested it, And here we are sitting today. So a lot of things seem to have a line very similar to this when we're looking at the Qs, the SPYs, Facebook, Apple, so on and so forth, or not Facebook, but I'll say Apple and Google. That this kind of line here, that below that line we're looking bearish, obviously, and above this line we're looking more bullish. Some ways that I have played these are with LAC. I haven't looked at any of these charts today, but kind of a similar theme here. We zoom back out. So here's a big lithium play. And we can see here, kind of like what's happening, this bottoming formation here. Perhaps if we can start to challenge this here, we might make a move back up to that 25 range. It's something I'm definitely keeping an eye on. Not sure why it's not liked, but we're going to put a like rate on that now. Boom, there it goes. LTHM, another one that I'm watching here. There's a way to play EVs without playing the EVs, some cheaper ways to play them. Now, this one, not quite as nice of a bottoming pattern. I feel like we have more of a topping pattern on this one than we did with LAC here. So we'll see if this can hold, but you can see that right here, it's really struggling to try to get back above that, make its way marching back up to 25. So it looks like the market is closed on us. That's a wrap for the day on the market. I will carry this to about 4:30 today. The more content or the more questions that are coming in, I will stick around today. If not, if questions aren't coming in, I will shut down about 4:30. So, like I said, try to keep it interesting, try to keep it moving. So please fire those away. There we go. Get my drawing tool back organized. So it covers LIT right there. KWeb, China, pretty beat up. No real bull case to make on that one right now. All you can say is that, where does the bottom come in on this? We can look back here and we can say, well, are we testing this bottom and trying to curl back up again? For now, though, that looks pretty beat up. Definitely a bearish case right there. So that will be the line to break as far as the K-Web goes and your China internet stocks. And my sector analysis list just went blank on me, as I'm saying I never have performance issues. Top list looks good here. Give that a second to catch back up there. There we go. IAI, got your brokers, your dealers. Not a very liquid ETF here, but money continues to pour into brokers. More people want to be market participants, and that's what this chart is showing me here. So definitely take a look here. You got COVID, the sell-off here, and that V recovery, range bound for a little bit. And I think, day trading has just become one of those things, trading in general, taking control of your finances. And so you just have a real steady march here. You got that one tick down there, but all the same, I mean, real just steady march, range bound here for a couple of months. But that's a healthy looking chart overall. And like I said, it's not overall liquid, but this is how you play something like Interactive Brokers, TD Ameritrade, anything that's publicly traded as far as brokers go. I see a question from Bob. Chris newbie here. Besides channel bar, is there any other place to get preloaded scanners? Yeah, I always give a shout out to Barry. Let's get his link in here up real fast. Everything that Barry does, that he runs Barry runs our traders room. Just an incredible trader. I know, he'll always say he doesn't teach trading, but just by hanging out in Barry's room, between him and some of the other really great traders in there, you're going to learn stuff from him. You just can't help it. Really great knowledge, and every scanner that Barry has is in there. He doesn't put them all up at the same time. Different ones he runs according to, we're in and out of earnings season. Is it a more bearish tape? Is it a more bullish tape? Things like that. That's how Barry runs things like that. So you find a lot that's in there. And then I'll say, Bob, if you go through our YouTube channel, you click through the videos and things like that, you come across any of the 5 o'clock webinars where Andy, Jamie, Steve are talking about different scans, you could always send an email to us asking for those scans, and most of them we have archived. So info at trade ideas.com. You send an email there, and we're more than happy to get you a link to any of those scans. And then, we're always happy to, if someone has an idea, hey, I'm looking to do a scan that does, it's looking for whatever. We're happy to point you in a direction, put a template together for you, and then from there, optimizing back testing, we leave up to you, of course. But if it's something that can be done, we're going to try to find a way to get it to you, any which way that we can, as far as any kind of scan ideas that you have. So, don't be shy. There's someone at that email address, let's say 18 hours a day. And just because we don't get back to you right away, especially if it's a very specialized question, doesn't mean that we're ignoring you. Just maybe, kicking the can around a little bit between some different minds that are there for you. So, a few different ways to get at us there and get some ideas kicked around, get some questions answered for you. And so let's see, we're going to skip USO, OIL. We've already looked at those, but the XLF, definitely want to look at that. And again, energy, 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 financial, financial, financial. Those are sectors. I've talked about banks over the last couple of weeks. Also, a lot of the regional banks coming through my evening scanner, meaning that they're breaking out of 20-day ranges. All right. And so we can see here, we've been in this range for a long time. Um, going back into July-ish, beginning of August. And are we poised to break out of that? Andy made mention, I don't really look at the dollar index, but he had made mention the other day when I was talking about the banks being strong that they're helped by a strong dollar right now. You constantly have a lot of talking heads talking about the demise of the dollar. It's going to lose its reserve currency, so on and so forth. It may or may not. Who knows? I can't predict that. You can't predict that. But what I can tell you right now is that banks are strong. You never know what to believe from officials and things like that. You listen to the Fed, they'll tell you the bank's the strongest they've ever been. You listen to some other people in politics, they tell you they're the weakest they've ever been. I don't know what they are or are not. What I know is that the money is pouring into them, though. XLF is at an all time high, just off of it. All right. So make of that what you will. But I don't think that all that money is poured into here to make that all time high because the banks are weak, quite personally. One other thing that I see here, kind of long termish, I see that kind of handle. And I always mention that I'm biased to this. All right. I see it probably when it's not even there because it's what I want to see. I like this chart, or I like these patterns, these horseshoe up, these cup and handle patterns. So I see them more readily and more easily than most people do. Sometimes it helps me, sometimes it hurts me, but I can admit that I'm biased to it. One of those things that we think we have great memories. You want to really challenge your memory. Keep a journal for 5 years. Go back to a major life event that you think you remember how it happened, and then watch yourself be called a liar in your own handwriting. It's amazing how many times that can happen. How many times it's happened to me. But this is what I'm looking at right here. All right. So your kind of cup and your handle, and while this really did eke down on us there, that's still a higher low than we have on that base back there. So that matters. That matters for strength. And we could see all day today that, you know, gap and go on the XLF and all day long. Now it closed off some selling in here at the end of the day, but all the same, right off all time highs again, right off all time highs again. So that's strong. That's a strong chart right there. SOXX, got your semiconductor. All right. And while tech overall has been lagging and the semiconductors are no stranger to that lag, a healthy pullback, you can't really argue that, and especially we zoom back out and how healthy that looks. And again, it looks like a lot of those things where I've been drawing a line and saying above it is bullish, below it is bearish. I would say that this has maybe even broken that line a bit. I would go, my eye kind of looks at this right here. Let's get a line across here. It's not quite where I wanted it. My eye kind of goes to this level right here. Now, are not exactly arbitrarily drawn, and also, drawing pivot and resistance lines is not an exact science. There's a lot of times you can oopsie above it and come right back down below it. All right, but we can see that this line has been pretty significant, drawing the price action in like a magnet. And so to me, that looks like a bearish tape as far as the semiconductors go right now. All right. Your darlings has fallen out. And as I like to discuss, my opinion would be that semiconductors are bullish because we have such a shortage and supply chain, and they're being bought faster than they can be made, so on and so forth. So you think that'd be good for revenues and projections and all those things like that. And that's not what the chart is telling me right now. The chart is telling me my opinion is dead wrong, and that's why I don't trade my opinion. Is a horseshoe pattern same as cup and handle? No, a horseshoe pattern would be the beginning of a cup and handle. So on a cup and handle, um, we could call it like this. This isn't going to be the greatest example of it, but if we were to look for, this would be a horseshoe right here by itself. Adding this to it here makes the handle. So here's your cup, and here's the handle to the cup, is what the idea is supposed to be. So there's your cup, there's your handle, if you will. Not the best example of that, to be quite honest. Let's see if I can find something a little better. I think this one had a nice one way back when. Mm, Not finding it as good as I want to here. Trying to find you a better cup and handle example. Here we go. This is an explosion out of a cup and handle here, if you ask me. Got this big long base of a cup right here. All right, we topped out. You got this small little handle right there that was not drawn well. You got this small handle that's drawn right there. So there's your big cup. Almost call this like a ladle. All right, and there's your handle for that ladle. All right, and just exploding up after that. So like I said, my eye is biased towards it. That's what I find, And has it hurt me? Yes. Has it helped me? Yes. It's hurt me much more than it's helped me. So that's where I stay. I did trade this, so you can see that those marks on my chart there. Looked like I made the right move when it couldn't bust through this level here, and I sold out. So bought it right here, sold some there back on the way down. Didn't like the way the price action was working out. Um, you never buy tops, you never buy bottoms. You're lucky when you get those things. So it worked out well. Perfect. Glad you see that there, Town. And I don't know whether I'm allowed to do this or not, but where I take the cup and handle pattern from was a book that I read. It's called How to Make Money in Stocks by William J. O'Neill. He's part of Investor Business Daily. He goes over it a lot, how it's one of the most tried and true patterns going all the way back. He has charts that go all the way back into the 1800s. He discusses how powerful it is, especially when you have new and upcoming sectors, stocks, areas, and things like that. And he looks on things on a very long-term basis. The other thing that he's big on, that I am big on, is you buy stocks going up, not going down. That's not to say you chase parabolic things. That's not to say you can't buy a healthy pullback into some moving averages or wait for a better price to enter. Um, but when a chart looks like the K web, all right, that's not what you want to buy. All right, you may think you're getting bargain, you may think you're bargain hunting here, but what's your bullish case to say that this comes back right now? All right, and let's just not let's pretend this is not just China. This is any chart. There's nothing here. After this top, everything has been sold. Anytime it tried to recover, it's been sold all the way through here. There's nothing to tell me that it's recovering right now. Again, we get a base, we start to turn up, we start to fight some moving averages, we start to fight some resistance levels, then we could say that maybe the chart starts to turn around. But this is where buying stocks going up makes you money, not buying stocks going down. You sell stocks going down. That's just my 2 cents on that, anyways. And things that have helped me along the way for sure. So again, if someone has some questions, please fire away. Um, I'm very happy to, I'm here to really demonstrate the software more than just talk charts, although I love talking charts. So sorry, just catching up, reading a little internal stuff that's going on here. Some news coming out apparently about George Soros selling stocks, apparently, according to Zero Hedge. Who knows what that means? Sorry, clicking through some tabs here. All right. So let's continue on this sector analysis here. So we've looked at some of the top sectors. Let's look at some bottom sectors. While the VXX is not a sector necessarily, it's a fear gauge, it's a fear indicator. Today, we basically showed that we're not as fearful as we had been. Obviously, there's a sell-off at the end, so that's going to coincide with that sell-off here. And when we bring over the charts, it kind of exact opposite on the mirror here. So you got this move down, you get this move up, you get this move up, you get this move down, and so it's just a fear indicator. But we're range bound right now. What direction are we going? I don't know. We might be in chop for a long time. We can have a bear market without having a bear market. It's a 15-minute chart zooming way out. Um, As long as we stay below this line, it's more of a more of a guilty till proven innocent for the bull market, if you will. I mean, right off here from all times highs, so it's not exactly like we're that far off or anything like that. But you can see here sloping down overall. That's what we see. That's how the VXX affects things. That's the fear gauge. We look back on it. It's hard to do any real analysis on this because this gets reverse split all the time. So, who knows when they do that next? But that really affects what's going on with this chart. But we can see, it is a steady decline on the fear index overall. So while, definitely a cautious tail to be had, sitting here near all-time highs, no superb amount of fear to be looking at. TLT, that's your 20-year bond. That chart load up there. And, same kind of thing here, sell off in that. I think this is kind of a big level that we're looking at here. Let's mark that up. Horizontal line. Not quite where I wanted it. I feel like that's a very significant line that's right there. So, looking at it on this long-term chart, we bounced off of it, we came back, we bounced below it now. And again, with pivot lines, whether going up for resistance or down for support, there's a lot of whoopsies that can happen. So is this a whoopsie and we're going to pop back above it? Not really sure. No one is, but it's definitely a significant line. As we can see, we towed this line quite a bit through here. So not an exact science, but these all matter as we look back on this here. So bond buyers are out there. The bond sellers are out there for sure. Let's take a look at our JETS, 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 Jets. Beautiful move back here as we look like the world was opening back up, vaccines work, so on and so forth. Can't help but news driven as far as people being able to travel and restrictions. And then a sell off, what countries are opening up, what isn't opening up. I do know from some personal friends that have been flying back and forth overseas, France, Spain, Germany mainly, told me that they've never seen ticket prices so high in their entire lives. So, I don't know what to make of that exactly. Um, Obviously, demand is nowhere near it was in 2018 and 2019 at this point. But we can make the case that once again, looking at this position in 20-day range low here, and it kind of maps out a significant pivot line for us here. And below that line, we look bearish. Above it, we look bullish. So the Jets look bullish again. Your airlines look bullish. I do believe I had AAL coming through my evening scan the other day, meaning that was breaking out of a 20-day range to the upside. And why not draw a pivot line here? There we go. Definitely a significant line. Let's zoom out. I suspect that we'll see some other spots where it absolutely makes a difference here. So, get rid of some of these drawings. You know, that line has definitely played a big role for quite a while now, going back many, many months, many months. All right. But you asked me if I see here, and you asked for horseshoe up, town, I think, right? Horseshoe. Yeah, you asked for that horseshoe up earlier. Kind of seeing horseshoe up right there on that. That's what I'm seeing. Um, in the words of All-Star charts JC Peretz, the bigger the base, the bigger the boom. You had a pretty big base coming in there, pretty big boom, smaller base, and that's a really great cup and handle example right there. Really great cup and handle example right there. And move beautifully out of that cup and handle. All right. The unfortunate part is there's a lot more news driven stuff going on right now. So, take that money from the charts when it's given it to you. Dan, can you go over multi-strategy windows and what advantages they have over other windows? Absolutely. Um, so first off, the reason to do a multi-strategy window is if you are limited on your screen space, and let's say you have 2, 3 alert windows that you really like, but you don't want to have all that screen space taken up by 2 or 3 alert. So what you do is you create a multi-window. Now, the only issue that you could run into with multi-windows is, let's say your 2 or 3 alert windows themselves are holy cow beyond active, and each one's throwing out 10 alerts, literally 10 alerts a second. You get a bottleneck of data. We're good, but everybody's got their limitations. So if you've literally got 50 alerts coming in 1 second, um, you're going to run into issues there. If you can find anybody that can handle 50 alerts in 1 second, literally 1 second, let me know. Um, and I don't know that 50 is the limit, but my point being is, there are limitations to everything that we do. But if we get a multi-strategy window going here, let's do this actually. Let's go to new and we'll go multi-strategy window. We get a blank window here to start with, okay? Get that back out of the way. There we go. And the way we load into the multi-strategy window is like this. Same thing as a collaborate feature that I think you were here the other day when we were talking about going back and forth from top list to A windows. So if we right click here and we're going to get the collaborate link. All right. So right click, we look for collaborate. We got this URL that appears and we're going to copy that. All right. Here we go. Copy. Okay. We've copied it. We need to bring back that multi window again. It got hidden behind my dock. So there it is. Oops. And then we right click and we're going to go to collaborate all. I'm going to paste this in here and there, bang. And now we've added that in there. And if we go to strategies, all right. Sorry, that was collaborate all. I did that backwards. My apologies. Go to strategies, new strategy, collaborate. This is where we want to paste it, not in the collaborate all. The collaborate all is to change all the windows once they're in there. I apologize. Paste. Now we've got it. So now we see automation list. That's the name of the strategy. The last symbol that came through is IMAX 343. Since it's attached to that whole automation list that I've created. I don't particularly like the headers up here like this. I like text headers. So right click just in case you're wondering, properties. And we go to text headers. And there we go. I've changed that around like that. And then we could say, I like Barry's window here, this A window, right? Or the options window, for example. So let me move this up here so we don't lose that again. Same thing, right click, collaborate. We're going to copy that link. All right, we've copied it. Press OK. Pressing OK erased all my alerts from the day. I didn't realize that it would affect that, so we could have just X'd that out. Right click, strategies. So we've got automation list in here, and we can go to configure that if I wanted to change that list that I have going on there, that scan, or we can come to new strategy again, and we can come to collaborate. And once again, we're going to paste that collaboration link in here. And there we go. Moving higher with unusually strong options volume. And I have both those in there. And then there's different things we can change around with the multi-strategy window. So we can come to configure all. All right. And that's what the collaborate all was before. I'm sorry. It's to change everything in the window, not individual strategies or add them. And we can select what we want to change. We can select all. All right. And then we edit selected. And that's going to give me a configure window. And it's a generalized configure window that's going to come up here. And so there are things that are going to be blacked out on it or grayed out so as not to interfere with the other scans. But, we can decide we don't want to look at certain exchanges, symbols lists, so on and so forth. We want to add things. All right. If we want to add or take away columns, it's a little different than with an alert window. So again, it's a right click, properties, we come to columns, and this will take care of all the columns in the overall window. So for example, if I didn't want position and range day, I can click it here, send it back over to the list from there, and I could say, you know what, I want to see what industry this is in though. So I click it here, I send it back here, and you can see this says selected columns versus the columns that are here. And then by clicking OK, that just swapped that all around right there with those columns. And that's more or less the short and skinny as far as multi-strategy windows. You can also, you don't have to use a collaborate link to bring in a window. We could always just right click and come to strategies. All right, and we go new strategy and configure, and we can just start building a new strategy from right within the multi-alert window. Whatever we wanted to select, a new high, and whatever we decide to put in here, and we can call it whatever we decide to call it for that specific strategy in the multi-alert window. Test multi, and there it is. Now we have test multi, and so now we have three different strategies that are in there. One last thing we can do here, we can name the overall window itself. All right, so we can actually name it instead of just calling it multi-strategy window. Testing multi, and there it goes. And so that's up there. Never mind the typo that's up there, but the premise is there that we understand. One last thing that we could always do here too, you can see everything is white here. So if you want to separate, if you had strategies going up versus strategies going down, we come in here and we go to colors, foreground, background, all right, all these things like that. All right, and now automation list is here like that. The same thing, automation list, colors. So we did the foreground. Now let's do the background, and we can make the background maybe a lighter green just for fun. Let's see what happens. All right, that's what it looks like that. So again, just a way to save real estate. That's all that is. Um, and then maybe you got, let's say, five different scans that you really like. You could put three in one multi-window, two in another multi-window, and then you could dock them together even, and move them around in coordination. So again, we're 25 past the hour, 26 past the hour. Then you had any questions, pop them in here for me. Otherwise, start to give the going once, going twice, sold type of thing. Take a look here. I'm going to get rid of this multi-window, get rid of that. Someone just made a reference of a chart that I wanted to look at now. Be dry. Interesting. Shipping. Not bad on the ETF. 400,000 shares traded today, doing just off 2 times its relative volume. Interesting pattern closing out the day here. Very shallow horseshoe up. Very well held that gap. Tested it. That low of the day right there. On the wick, come back, tested just below it, and then held close towards near the high of the day. So again, kind of these horseshoe pattern up here over and over again. And again, my eye is biased. I see them, whether I want to see them or whether they're really there or not, I see them. But you could call that a cup and a handle for sure. And then an explosion right out of that handle. Once again, PLTR. Let's take a look, John. I traded PLTR last week and got my butt handed to me on it. Good if I click the right spot. So it's a big move after hours for that, especially with 1.5 million in the float there. Nothing to sneeze at, and it needed something like that to get it moving again because this line was a big deal. I thought, saw it above this line. I thought it was going to break back above it. Actually, it got it back around there, and then a down day the next day. I said, I'm not sticking around. I'm getting out. It was the right decision. I don't count on news to drive my stocks. I just thought that the supply that was up here had been met on all these sell-offs, and I thought that this was going to be the move out. I was wrong, and I licked my wounds and walked away with a loss. So, but interesting. We'll see what it can do. I still think that this line is a very, very big deal for PLTR. Um, the other thing is, looking at Wall Street bets, they're almost always talking about this. So just I always like to be careful with those stocks with Wall Street bets. When you save a layout of the cloud, there's a checkbox for special layout items. What would that include? Let's take a look here. I think that was something I was asked the other day. Not something I use very often. That's a load from cloud. File. Save or share. Where are we seeing the specialty items? Um, are you doing it like this perhaps? Save or share to cloud. Hmm. Let's see what happens. Hold on, let's try it like this. Bring over a free floating window. Save or share to cloud. Hmm. Oh, there it is. Okay, I see what you're saying there. Well, because it's got the TI symbol there, I think it means it's trying to save the whole layout, is what's going on. So let me see one more time, Paul. Right click, save or share to cloud. That's not something I really ever paid attention to before. Okay, yeah. So if you click that, I believe that's trying to save the layout. Let's see what happens. All right, we save that to the cloud. Load from cloud. This is gonna erase everything that I got going on here. Nope, just loaded that one window. Expect maybe as a function from a long time ago. Let's save it like this. I'm gonna uncheck it. Test two. And load from cloud. And what say you? Oh, just loaded the layout like normal. You know, remind me, Dan, and I'll kick that off to people that are smarter than me and see what they say for that specialty there. I'm not sure what that's an exact reference to. So, all right, I'm gonna give you all the going once, going twice, going three times here. If you have any questions, please fire them away now, or I'm going to wind down for the day and go take a break. Yeah, you've got me curious now too, Dan. So, um, I'm trying to think of what would be special other than some of these test windows that we're working on, some box scans that we created with what we call our Market Explorer that'll be coming out for everybody soon. Some exciting stuff here. We got an 820 cross on a 2 minute chart that's going to be coming out for everybody. Um, Another type of bull flag scan. Let's see what else is coming. What can I tease here? It should be out any day, to be honest. Market Explorer. Sorry, trying to get the Market Explorer window open here. Some test stuff that we do in the back here. So let's see. What do we got coming? We have got a bear flag, a bull flag. I believe we're going to be sharing the TI Strength Index scan, daily RSI divergence long, and 820 cross on gappers. So those are all scans that are be coming out. They're canned scans. There's no way to alter those scans. Um, but they're using our some behind the scenes technology for us. Some filters that we don't have outright, or data points that we don't have outright, we're able to kind of script them in another way. Um, just we can't push them out server side as things are right now. But the idea behind this is put out some of these scans that have been some big requested ones, and as more requests come in for certain scans, we're going to start to build those out and send those out to you all as well. Let's see, will the new version have the system performance metrics your version has? I don't know when that's going to be coming. And for those that don't know what that is, so here on my toolbar here, you see this little, almost like a heartbeat line. When I click that, that gives me this here. And it's going to tell me how many of each type of windows I have, the grids, the rows, my memory usage, CPU usage, how many pinned windows there are, symbol linking that's going on, charts, so on and so forth. So um, I don't know when that'll get pushed out, to be honest with you. Development never tells us these things. They just say it's coming. And when we say when, they say it's coming. And that's what we get. So, they keep us in the dark almost as much as everybody else does. They just don't give timetables for those things. Um, One last IRNT looks like it might have finally. No, definitely, it'll be really helpful. It'll be helpful for me. A lot of troubleshooting that goes on our side, and it's hard to see. And all the time people want us to remote in to their systems and things like that, and it's just not. It's not. A lot of things are not flipping a switch for us. There's a lot of things that are going on always. On our own machines here that we can't just remote right into someone whenever they feel like us that we should do it for them. Trying to find some support here. um what Get rid of that. IronNet, what are you? Just curious. Cybersecurity, it's one of those things that could go either way, I would say, as far as what it's in. um you're going to want to see it fight around here, obviously. um there's your line in the sand. Any whoopsie down is just to break any sort of bull case that there would be. But for now, I'd say it's kind of a bearish case. The one thing I will note, I'm always a big fan of this when you have newer issues: anchor VWAP. Let's anchor VWAP from that high. Let's anchor a VWAP from IPO. All right, so both of those are going to play some role here for sure. And while this one was more declining and starting to flatten, this one's flattening. Um, your high today, that's what I'd go with. Really, the $15 mark. That's where your bull case starts to be remade and kind of bottoming out. And we could say this: got that horseshoe up here, and it did well, exploded up today. It just couldn't hold it. That's your big issue right there. So, um, what you have here is a bunch of supply here, and you got to wonder how many people are holding this stock from this level, and this level, that are going to distribute it every single time it starts to make a move up. That's what your question is. And when is this supply exhausted? The other thing I'll note, um, you had the volume kind of do that. So it doesn't look like it's overly interested in at the moment. It is a very liquid stock, regardless of what the relative volume shows. So 0.85 means it's doing a little under its 10-day average. Not exactly a lot of 10-day averages to go off of here, unfortunately. Um, but, a little over 8 million shares traded today. It's definitely very liquid. So a lot of work on this one. I'd like to give you something more positive with it, but I can't. I'm sorry. The chart doesn't look great for now. And there's just not enough data to go back and say, this is a level of anything. You're right back at that IPO level, more or less. So obviously that's what you want to hold. That's what you want to build on. So, okay, everybody. Yeah, 40 was Wall Street's pump. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. So that, these are things that I like to try to stay away from stuff like that when you've got a group of people that could be manipulating a stock. 65 million in the share. It does take a decent group to get that moving, but it can happen. That's for sure. That's for sure. So, all right, everybody, I will wind it down for the day here. I do appreciate everybody coming in. Thanks for the questions, comments. Again, we're doing this every day, 3:30 Eastern. For now, there's no real content. I think I will be making maybe a market recap as part of what I do daily, to kick it off as people are filing in, filtering in, and then we'll kind of move from there. And as long as questions are coming in, we'll jump to those questions right away. And if not, I'll fill it in with, a little bit of Holly recap, a little bit of what I'm doing recap, a little bit of what some other traders might be doing recap. So, all right, thanks again for watching, everybody. Really appreciate it. And we'll catch you back here tomorrow at 3:30 Eastern. Have a great evening. Bye bye.